The Ford Maverick has been a true revelation and revolution in the world of passenger vehicles as it combined the utmost practicality at fairly compact dimensions at an incredibly low price. For this reason, the Maverick has been colloquially considered the vehicle Americans always wanted, which is why it retains its position as the best-selling vehicle in the US. Well, believe it or not, Ford just decided to make the Maverick even better than it was for the 2025 model year. So, without wasting any time, here are 5 reasons why the 2025 Ford Maverick will revolutionize the small truck segment. Number 5. An interesting styling. Believe it or not, the Ford Maverick is already due for its midlife refresh. Oh, how the times are passing. To be honest, if there's an area of the Maverick that needs improvement, it is most definitely the exterior, as it already looks very dated and, well, very bland. Thankfully, this won't be the case anymore as the 2025 model year sets out to introduce an all-new suit to the Blue Oval's breadwinner, which will come in the form of a subtle yet noticeable redesign. First of all, the front of the Maverick will now be a tad more aggressive, allowing it to sit much more proudly in Ford's pickup lineup. Gone are those dated halogen headlamps, and in their place, we'll now see considerably slimmer and far more beautiful LED DRLs that'll take up Ford's now trademark C-shape. This will make the Maverick look much more like its older brother, such as the Ford Ranger or the F-150, which will give it a more distinguished look. This is always good in our book, as currently the Maverick looks like the most generic pickup truck ever made. Apart from the headlamps, the grille will also receive some minor differences, and so will the front bumper. However, you shouldn't expect a tectonic disturbance here, just a very logical facelift. The side profile will get a bit more creasing on the lower parts of the door, which will make the car look more athletic and slimmer than it used to be, giving it a more youthful character. Finally, the rear end of the truck will now house LED taillights that'll be a bit thinner than before, also amplifying the truck's youthful persona, which Ford is going for now. Number 4. Improved power plant. Apart from design changes, you could also expect some differences in the power plant and powertrain departments. As of now, the Ford Maverick only had 2 engine options, a 2.5 hybrid and a 2.0 EcoBoost, both of which were pretty good, but also flawed in their own right. 2.0 was and still is a solidly powerful engine with 250 horsepower. However, considering the fact how fuel sippy it is, we'd say it needed a bit more oomph for us to justify purchasing it. The hybrid, on the other hand, was far more economical. However, it, with its 190 horsepower output, was very lackluster to say the least. Not to mention that you couldn't spec it out with all-wheel drive, which was a disgrace. Well, this is all gonna change now as the 2.0 EcoBoost will now push around 20 horsepower and 20 pound-feet of torque more, granting it better performance figures as well as better towing capacity without sacrificing fuel economy. On the other hand, the hybrid will most probably retain its power figures. However, there has been mention of Ford introducing the all-wheel drive system to it, but this is yet to be confirmed. Also, for those of you who are looking for an affordable entry into the Ford Maverick ownership, Ford has got you covered, as the 2025 model year will now also come with a 1.5-liter EcoBoost, the same one found in the
Ford Escape.
This engine will, albeit being the least powerful of them all, serve as an ideal entry point for the Maverick, and honestly, it'll be ideal for city driving. Overall, there is quite a bit of news in terms of power plant changes. However, we've saved the best for last. Number 3. A performance-oriented version is here. Say hello to Ford's little friend. We've all been aching for a Maverick Raptor ever since the truck was introduced, and finally, 4 years later, Ford decided to treat us to this long-awaited vehicle. Well, kind of. You see, the performance-oriented version of the Maverick will not be called the Maverick Raptor. Instead, it'll bear a completely new nomenclature, the Ford Maverick Del Lobo, which is Spanish for skull. This is because, unlike Ford's Raptor lineup, which are off-road oriented vehicles, the Del Lobo will be an on-road oriented sports trim. The logic behind this lies in the Maverick's unibody chassis, which significantly hampers its off-road performance, but also makes it much better to drive on the road. Enough of technicalities, let's talk about numbers. The Del Lobo is said to utilize the 2.3-liter EcoBoost engine, the same one found in the Ford Mustang. This power plant will produce upwards of 310 horsepower. making the Del Lobo a true devil in disguise, especially compared to its direct peers. Apart from this, you could also expect the Del Lobo to utilize low-profile tires, a lowered suspension, as well as bigger alloy wheels compared to regular models, making the Del Lobo the truck equivalent of a hot hatch. Also, the interior will be reworked to accommodate a more aggressive driving style with better profiled seats and a sport-accented dashboard and steering wheel. Oh, and while on the topic of the interior, number 2. The Maverick received significant improvements to the interior. Honestly, the worst thing about the Maverick was undoubtedly its interior. It was neither a pleasing thing to sit in from an aesthetic nor a quality standpoint. Everything, and we do mean everything, has been made using the nastiest scratchy plastic that you'd struggle to see in even the cheapest of cars currently on offer. However, this is all gonna change with the 2025 model year, as the Maverick will see an extensive change in the realm of interior design. First of all, there will be a massive upgrade in terms of tech. You can say goodbye to that minuscule 8-inch touchscreen, and in its wake, we'll now be seeing a larger 10-inch unit that'll completely cover up that ungainly cubbyhole that has been one of the biggest critiques of the interior. Apart from that, the gauge cluster will now be fully digital on the higher-end trim levels, which in combination with a bigger screen means that the car can be monitored much better and much clearer. Apart from this, the dashboard materials as well as the plastics all across the interior will now be much better. Now, you shouldn't expect a Ram 1500 here, as the car will still be mostly covered in hard plastics. However, they'll be more rugged and higher quality than what is currently on offer. Not to mention that the upper parts of the dash will be made out of soft touch materials with the highest trim levels. Finally, the seats will now be much more comfortable and quite a bit more supportive, which will allow the car to feel much nicer to sit and spend time in. Not to mention that, due to better seat padding, they'll now be more durable, which means that the creasing that has plagued the Maverick will most likely be fixed for the 2025 model year. Number 1. Value for money like never before. Honestly, you wouldn't be at fault for thinking that the Ford Maverick would become more expensive because of these additions. However, that simply won't be the case. You see, even though there will be quite a bit of updates to the car, especially in the interior, the cost of these new amenities will be mitigated by the fact that Ford plans to increase the production of the Maverick even further. And with increased production, it's only logical that the price will decrease, which essentially allows the truck to remain quite attainable even though it will be better equipped. Plus, the fact that the 1.5-liter EcoBoost will now be part of the power plant lineup also seems to suggest that the Maverick's low price tag is going nowhere. We might even expect the entry price to become even less than it is now. That said, we have to mention that the upper echelons of the Maverick are going to be a tad more expensive than what they are now. However, that price tag difference will be well worth it because the Maverick will for once have a properly well-built interior. And let's not forget the Maverick Del Lobo. That one is sure to be quite a bit more expensive than the regular Maverick. However, for the money, you'll be getting an incredibly fun pickup truck that's also quite a sensible car to use and drive around. Truly a successor to the dying breed of hot hatchbacks, except even better. All in all, Ford has truly upped their game with the 2025 Maverick, and we can't wait to see the new version of the Blue Oval's breadwinner in person. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.